All right, guys, welcome back to the Casual Combat MMA show. I am joined here with my co-host Cal Gerber, as always. Cal, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Had a good weekend. I've had a good week. Had a lot of time to do some hunting and some other stuff, and just ready to rock, man.
Absolutely, dude. We saw a lot of awesome fights last night. We're recording this Sunday evening, but that's in a different episode. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, go check that out. But we're here to talk today about UFC 255, right? Our last pay-per-view event of the year, if I am not mistaken, correct?
Yep, this is the last month.
I believe that Nunes
No, we
fights.
got December. This isn't
Got
last
Peter
month.
Yan. Okay, scratch that. We still got one more. So our second to last pay-per-view
I
event of the
told you
year.
this was the last month of the year, so I was on board with it.
Yeah. Headlined by Davison Figueiredo versus Alex Perez at the flyweight division, and also in the women's flyweight division, Valentina Shevchenko versus Jennifer Maia. Cal, I know you've done some extensive research on this card. I have been slacking. I did a little bit of research, but you're our stats guy, man. What can we expect for next week?
First of all, after going through all, I believe there's 10 fights scheduled. I don't know if there's no early prelims as of right now. There may still be some that come out, but I'm kind of done with the 255 slander. Before this, I agreed. I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't as good. But after going through all of these fights, I see a lot of stuff I'm interested in and excited to see. I think a lot of these fights have value, which is something that I found recently I enjoy more about fights. I don't like a fight. I don't get excited for a fight where I know it doesn't really mean anything. And a lot of times I have trouble with like veterans who are kind of on their last leg, and it's like when Silva fought a couple weeks ago, it's like it doesn't matter really.
Exactly, right? These are fights that actually have ranking implications and will move divisions in the right direction. No, they may not be the highest touted divisions, right? I mean, it comes to mind that this is truly a flyweight showcase, right? And I know it's men's and women's, but I think I counted that 5 of the final 8 fights are in the flyweight division, men's or women's. I think that's something of interest.
Yeah, small guys night, man, girl. Yeah. So the card opens up with our guy Daniel Rodriguez. He was supposed to fight this past weekend, and I think his opponent pulled out due to COVID or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But we talked about him last night. He's a minus 350 favorite fighting Nicholas Dalby, who is a plus 265 underdog. Rodriguez is 13-1. He's got 11 finishes. He's got a win over Tim Means. He's 3-0 in the UFC, and he has looked fantastic. And I think these odds are this stacked for a reason. Now, Nicholas Dalby is 18-4. He's got a win over Alex Cowboy Oliveira, and he has a draw against Darren Till, but that was back in 2015. He does have more recently a loss to Zach Cummings, and most recently a loss to Jesse Ronson, who I don't know who that guy is. So that makes me think less of Dalby. I think you got a good chance here for a big win from Rodriguez. Although I was looking, I wanted to be able to claim that this was going to be a knockout because Rodriguez is kind of a knockout specialist. But Dalby's never been finished in his career. So it's not going to be an easy out for Daniel Rodriguez by any means. And I think we'll get to learn a little bit more about him. And I still think he's going to be very dominant in this fight.
Yeah. So again, like we said, he was going to fight last weekend. You did your fighter highlight on him last weekend. So if you're a listener of the podcast, I think this would be one that, would be interesting and would get a reason to turn that early prelims broadcast on next weekend.
Yeah, that's our first fight out the gate, so get after it. Then we have Louis Koski, who he and his brother both won contracts in the Contender Series a couple months ago. Louis is 7-0, and he is fighting Sasha Palanikov. Nikov is 5-2. He's a plus 275 underdog. Koski's a minus 365 favorite, so a heavy favorite. He's 7-0 with 7 KOs. This is Sasha's first fight in the UFC with a record of 5-2 previously. He's been knocked out twice, including one flush knockout in one of his last 2 fights. This is a match to show off Koski right here. This is going to be I would I would bet on a Koski first round knockout here because that is what they want to happen, and that is what I believe will happen.
And I want to see that happen.
And this guy who's been knocked out, he's only has 7. They both only have 7 fights. We have 14 fights total between both these guys in their UFC debuts, so that's interesting. But the difference is Sasha's been battling and losing in these lower leagues.
Yeah.
And Koski's finished everyone. 7 KOs in the first round. We got a couple heavy hitters to start this card out. Next, another interesting fight. We got Joaquin Buckley, who was made famous about a month ago.
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not on the bandwagon yet. I'm not on the Joaquin Buckley bandwagon after one kick. Am I salty that it was against Impa? Yes, I still am. Am I impressed with the kick? Of course, right? But I still have not ever seen Joaquin Buckley really fight, let alone fight well. I think the potential is there. I'm not on it yet. I'll be watching this weekend.
He got pounded. Kevin Holland ragdolled him in his first UFC fight, and Kevin Holland is a stud who's growing on me tremendously. But I'm not even sure that Buckley for sure. He was winning the fight when he knocked out Impa, but I'm not sure that he for sure was going to win the fight. That was still going to be a close fight.
Yes.
But he's a minus 265 favorite, which I agree with you. I'm not on the hype train at all yet. And he's fighting a guy named Jordan Wright, who is 11-0, and he's 1-0 in the UFC. And they're all first-round KOs but one. And Jordan Wright is a plus 205 underdog. That's 11-0 with 11 knockouts.
Yeah, see, here, I want to talk my way through of why I'm not on the Joaquin Buckley hype train. And I think a lot of people will either share my sentiment or you're casuals and you're listening and you're like, did you see what he did to Impa? Right? Yeah, I saw what he did to Impa. And if you believe that Joaquin Buckley is going to win this fight based off of what you saw last fight, that means you think he's going to do what he did last time again. And I'm going to tell everybody right now, there's no way that he does that again. Right? I'm not saying that he won't win. I'm not saying he won't get another cool knockout, but he's not going to do that kick. No one in the history of MMA will ever do that kick again.
This isn't fighting, wrestling, boxing. They're very different from most sports people play and follow, where all those sports have the knockout. They have an opportunity, no matter what the score is, no matter how big the difference is in skill or ability, that one thing, if everything falls into place one time, it's over. So that's different. You can't say okay, this football team beat this football team. Well, if the bad football team returns the opening kickoff, you're still probably going to be okay. If the Jets return the opening kickoff against Kansas City is probably still going to be okay. But if you get kicked in the head and you're knocked out, you don't get to come back.
Exactly. It's like if there was a rule in football that was in section E, row 45, there's a hula hoop. And if somehow you can kick the ball off the field and it lands in that hula hoop, then you automatically win.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously that's an exaggeration. And I believe that's called a coup de grace. As in a final blow, I think I actually, my brother wrote a little paper on a coup de grace, and that there's very few sports that have a coup de grace. It's like the final blow in a fight or in a samurai exchange. The coup de grace would be the absolute ending. And and I hope I'm saying that term correctly. I think it's a coup de grace. But exactly, that is exactly what you were referring to, right? So you can't fall in love with that coup de grace, especially what Joaquin Buckley did last time. He's not going to do that again.
Yeah. That was once in ever. That will happen one time ever.
Yeah. Not even once in a lifetime. It was once in one guy's lifetime.
Yeah. That was, it was amazing, and it took skill and coordination, obviously. And he was fighting. He looked good before that, too.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying, you cannot put this guy against a guy who's 11-0 with 11 knockouts and make him that heavy of a favorite.
No,
he may beat this guy. Maybe Jordan Wright's not that good. He's only won one fight in the UFC. It was by knockout, but it wasn't against anyone good. He doesn't have anyone on his list of people he's fought who are tough fighters. But he's never fought anyone tough. He hasn't had the chance.
Exactly.
So right now, I'm still going with the heavy hitters. I got my heavy hitters going. We got Rodriguez potential KO maybe, but then really thinking Koski KO, and now I got Jordan Wright. I'm thinking another KO, which just heavy hitters coming out. And this is when I'm doing my research, this is when I started to get excited about this card. I'm like, oh, this is exciting.
Absolutely. And we haven't even got into any of the little guys yet.
No, and we're about to.
And we're about to.
So I have a problem with where this fight is on the card too. The next fight on the card that I read is Brandon Moreno versus Brandon Royval.
No, that's not right. Brandon Royval versus Brandon Moreno is the prelims main event, I think.
Okay.
Well, I think.
Fight we're going to cover next.
Okay. And I did my research on Brandon Royval as well. So if you want to preview the fight, I'll talk a little bit about.
Yeah, I'll just go over it. So, yeah, you can talk more about Brandon Royval. He's 12-4, 2-0 in the UFC. He's a plus 155 underdog here fighting Brandon Moreno, who's 17-5. Moreno's got a win over Kai Kara France. It's his biggest win probably to date. He's a minus 190 favorite. I don't really have a ton else to say. I'll let you go into some depth about Brandon Royval. We really like Brandon Royval.
I really like Brandon Royval. I know that I guess I could do a little bit more research on where he's fighting out of, but I do believe that he is trained with my buddy Nate Smith, who trains out at Team Elevation in Colorado. I don't know if that means that Brandon Royval is also out of there. But he's an underdog, and I'm picking him to win. This would be an awesome opportunity to pick up some money betting on an underdog. Brandon Royval also, right? You said that Brandon Moreno's probably best win is Kai Kara France, as far as we understand as casuals. Brandon Royval is also coming off. Was it a knockout win over Kai Kara France?
Sub.
And it was an absolutely amazing fight, right? Brandon Royval proved that he was a guy that is not consistent at all, right? He would get absolutely wobbled. He would be like stumbling and then hit a spinning back elbow from his knee that would connect and wobble him. And I mean, he is the most entertaining type of fighter to watch. He was an LFA champ. He's also got a win over former title contender Tim Elliott. He does have a loss to Casey Kenny, which is also one of my favorites at the flyweight / bantamweight area. So I'll let Royval off the hook on that one. But he's won 7 of his last 8, and I don't know. I think this one is pretty straightforward, but it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be fun to watch.
I think Moreno is going to be able to grapple with him. I don't think that's going to be a huge issue. I have here in my notes under Royval, all it just says is submaster. He's got 4 sub finishes in a row. He's got 4 wins.
Absolutely unorthodox striking.
Right.
Just
correct.
The weirdest stuff.
Standing and banging with Kai Kara France that was impressive. That was a good showing for him to be able to show that he can touch up someone like that too, because France is training with Izzy and all those guys at kickboxing.
Yep. Izzy Volk and Hooker and Riddle.
Some of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah.
He's training with.
Yes.
And he had some hype when he fought Brandon Royval about him.
Absolutely.
People were excited about him.
Royval
was an underdog for that one as well.
Exactly. But we also can't, look over the fact that Brandon Moreno also has beaten Kai Kara France. Like, this is a guy that is a step up from Kai Kara France, which is his last one that he barely won.
Moreno also has a win over Formiga, which is a pretty
And he might have a loss to Pantejo, but Pantejo is a top guy at flyweight. So
this is a big fight. This is a good fight for Royval to get, because it was supposed to be Moreno and Perez were fighting.
Yes.
For a title eliminator, pretty much. Who got the next shot?
Yep.
But then Perez got to move up to the main, and Royval got the opportunity to put himself in that potentially. Does this get him a title fight if he wins?
Dude, I mean, Brandon Royval has.
We're close.
Yeah, he has. Not only does he have hype coming behind him into this fight, but this is a guy that beating, would clearly, position him maybe for the next in line. Now, do I really think that's going to happen? No, because I think Cody Garbrandt's going to be back for the next shot. I think the flyweight division is one that will be held up for a little bit, just due to Cody, getting healthy and coming back in the mix. Because regardless of if you're a fan of Cody or not, when he comes back, he's going to get that title shot. That Dana will feed that to him. And it's not like he hasn't done enough to deserve that, right? He's been the former bantamweight champ. He's got quality bantamweight wins and now dropping, like, it's not like he has to re-earn his. Like, I'm with the Cody Garbrandt giving a title shot.
Yeah.
But I do think
And that's a fight that's easy to get excited about. That will sell.
Absolutely.
The Brandon Royval fan club is not large.
It's not large, but we're in it.
Yeah, well, we are, yes. Yeah, I would be excited about it, but as far as the rest of the world and people listening, they might be like, well, I don't really care about Brandon Royval.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the next fight, guys.
Yep, true.
But yeah, I think he's probably one or two fights. With a win here, this would be a big one. And then I could see him getting, say Alex Perez loses, I could see him getting like an Alex Perez in a fight. That would be the title eliminator then.
Yes.
Next, we got Kyle Daukaus is fighting Dustin Stoltzfus. Daukaus is 9-1. He's a minus 230 favorite. He lost to Brandon Allen in his debut. He is another submission master. He has 5 submissions via Darce choke and 3 submissions via rear naked choke. So 8 sub wins by those 2 chokes. Dustin needs to know what to look out for. Don't let him grab your neck, maybe.
Yep.
But
that's a good rule of thumb ever fighting, yeah.
What? Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Just don't, yeah.
That's one of the things that would be on my mind if I fought ever. Like, don't let him grab your neck.
That makes sense. Dustin's 13-1. He's a plus 180 favorite. He has 6 submissions to his name and 2 knockouts.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be, this could be a really fun or very boring, if that's not what you like, grappling match. We might see a lot of that. I think Dustin has a slight advantage in the striking, and I think Daukaus has an advantage in the grappling.
Mm-hmm.
Daukaus is the favorite, minus 30. I think he'll probably win, but I really don't know. There's not a whole lot on either of these guys. One UFC fight between the two of them. I don't know. I probably won't bet on this one. I'm not sure where I would bet. If I were to bet, I would maybe bet on this not finishing under 2.5.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just talked myself into betting on that.
No, that's not what I'm laughing about. I was going to ignore what just happened, but I'm laughing too much about it. I just farted really loud, and I'm not sure it got caught by the mic. But if you're watching and I just started laughing, I had to bring it up. Sorry.
I can almost smell it from here.
All right.
But yeah, that should be an interesting one to watch. I'm not gonna lie, that's not one I'm super excited for, but maybe we'll see something cool.
Yeah.
Then I have Antonina Shevchenko versus Ariane Lipski.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for everyone listening, it is Valentina's sister.
Yeah. That's why people know who she is.
Yes.
And I think we're going to have an upset win here. Lipski is 13-5. She's only 2-2 in the UFC, but she's won her last 2. Shevchenko is 8-2. She's a minus 160 favorite. She's got a loss to Chikagian. That's her biggest fight she's had. But she's only 1-2 in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see any names that she's beat that impress me. I think she gets a lot of her hype from her last name. And I think Lipski is tough and someone who's kind of figured out how to fight in the UFC and has been successful in the last couple fights. And also she's pretty attractive.
All right. I can't attest to that. I haven't seen her, but yeah, I guess we'll see this weekend.
I'm going to get a lot of hate if she's not looking good this weekend now.
That's all right.
She's plus 130 underdog. You could spread some money out there. I feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get one of the bad boys of the UFC. Mike Perry is fighting Tim Means. And I think this fight is so dumb. Mike Perry is 14-6. He's a minus 145 favorite. Tim Means is 30-12, and he's a plus 115 underdog. Tim Means most recently actually lost to Daniel Rodriguez, who we talked about, who's opening up this card. Mike Perry's most significant win is probably he beat Paul Felder, who many of us watched fight this weekend. That's definitely his most significant. His most recent win was against Mickey Gall, where he did look improved.
Yep.
And he has lost to Cowboy Cerrone and Jeff Neal.
Yeah, so here's my thoughts on this. We know that Tim Means is only plugged in because Robbie Lawler had to pull out for some. It was an undisclosed injury, I believe. But I have a point C too. I think a lot of people think that Mike Perry is better than he actually is just because of how well known he is, because of his personality, whether you like him or you don't like him. He's marketed himself to be, a guy that you might not have ever seen him fight. And you're like, oh yeah, Mike Perry, he's good. Like, okay, maybe. I mean, he's okay. He's got some notable wins, but also these odds are too close, right? I think Mike Perry is going to murder Tim Means. Even though I just said I don't think he's as good as everybody thinks he is, he's way better than Tim Means, right? How is Tim Means only a plus 115?
Yeah,
like that's essentially a pick'em fight.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, I agree. Tim Means has been around forever. He wins some, he loses some. He never beats the good guys. He never beats anyone you know.
Yeah.
You can throw him at the beginning of you can throw him in the prelims against some new kid, and he might catch him in a choke or something or get a win. But his best years are beyond him. I know at one point he was on a 6-fight win streak, like back in 2015 or something.
Yeah.
But since then, he loses more than he wins. And I just don't like this. I don't like Mike Perry. I know what the UFC is doing. People talk about Mike Perry. He's in the news. Mike Perry has potential here for a knockout or a decisive win where he looks good. His girlfriend is going to be there pregnant in his corner for him. It's going to be a circus. And then more people are going to be excited about Mike Perry.
Yeah.
Which we don't need. There's so many more talented fighters who you don't need to feed Tim Means to Mike Perry.
I agree.
I know
I fully agree.
Yeah, I don't like it. But yes.
I get it.
Odds here, bet Mike Perry. There's lots of value in him winning this fight.
Yes. You would get more money out of Mike Perry than you should.
Yes, for sure.
By betting on him.
Then actually this card is kind of riddled with kind of interesting women's fights. Next we have Caitlin Chikagian against Cynthia Calvillo. Chikagian's 14-4.
Hold on. Did you say Symphony?
Cynthia?
I think that's what you meant to say.
I thought I said Cynthia. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I said Symphony.
I'm sorry.
That's like a combination.
They're so funny.
Cynthia Calvillo. Anyways, Chikagian, 14-4. She's a plus 170 underdog here. Excuse me. Nelson's got my words all twisted up.
Wait,
Chikagian's
the underdog?
Yeah, at plus 170. Calvillo is a minus 210 favorite. When her big win is against Jessica Ai, which I don't believe was that long ago.
Sure.
She has 3 wins in a row. And where that really, I think, starts playing to the odds is Chikagian's has losses to Jessica Ai.
Chikagian fought like 3 weeks ago, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She got beat by Jessica Andrade like a month ago.
Wow.
Body.
Quick turnaround.
She got kneed in the body, you remember?
Yeah.
And then punched in the body again and fell down.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the liver, like, I don't know how that affects you, like, in the coming weeks in training. Like, I don't know if that just hurts really bad at that time. And then you're able to.
Like a Charlie horse. But bad.
Right. Way worse, I assume.
I would assume. I've never.
But, Chikagian's got big wins, though, too. She's beat Jennifer Maia, Joanne Calderwood, Lauren Murphy. I mean, been a contender for a while and beat legitimate studs. With that said, I think Calvillo probably will beat her. I think it's going to be a close fight, probably come down to a decision. And this is a good fight because this is a fight that really does matter in the women's division.
Yes, absolutely.
It is interesting. I know you can't run Chikagian and Valentina back again right now, but it is interesting that Chikagian has a win over Maia, who is fighting for the belt, and you're fighting on this card at the same time.
I know. I feel like
I get like why it has to happen. I just think it's kind of interesting.
I feel like the women's flyweight division, although they're competitive as far as the contenders are concerned, right? We'll get to Valentina Shevchenko here in a little bit, but she is so far and above the champion,
right?
And I think that, like, are we really interested in the winner of this fight challenging Valentina Shevchenko, right? Like, I'm not. Like, we already saw Valentina Shevchenko, like, I mean, kill everybody.
The only fight that is of interest for a belt is literally, to me, is Shevchenko getting to fight again against I am blanking right now. Who is the champ for the women at
Nunes?
yes, Nunes.
Yeah.
Amanda Nunes. That's it.
I will say, I didn't mean to cut you off with the finger. I was just making
No, you're good.
sure that I remembered. I would be, after she obviously runs through Jennifer Maia this weekend, I would not mind seeing a Jessica Andrade versus Shevchenko.
Yes, actually,
I still think that Andrade will get probably beat or slept, but that's one that I could be like, ooh, like these are two former champs fighting here. Like,
and she always will have the puncher's chance
yes.
in a women's fight because that chick hits hard. But anyways, I agree with the odds here. I think they're a little bit, well, maybe not. I guess I just agree. I think they're good odds. I probably wouldn't bet this. If I was, I'd pick Calvillo to win.
And I would probably pick Kaylin Chookagian. So
yeah,
here we are, our first disagreement of the day.
I just don't like the fact that Calvillo beat Jessica and Chookagian lost to her.
Yeah, well.
But that's just one fight, and Chookagian is definitely more proven, so yeah, I respect that that pick too. I could see it going either way. I think it's a close fight. Yeah. Next, we have Mauricio Shogun Rao fighting Paul Craig.
It's Shogun Rua.
Shogun Rua? How do you get that out of RUA?
Portuguese, like just kind of like Royce Gracie or Rafael dos Anjos. You know,
that makes sense.
It's a Brazilian thing. Shogun Rua.
See, I'm good. Yeah. He's 27-11. He's been around. He's actually plus 115 underdog here. Paul Craig is 13-4, and he's a minus 175 favorite. And I have a problem with Paul Craig because I thought I'd highlight Mauricio's nickname as Shogun because that's mentioned a lot. But Paul Craig's nickname is Bear Jew.
Bear Jew?
Bear Jew. Just B-E-A-R-G or B-E-A-R-J-E-W. Exactly how what you think I said.
Is he Jewish?
I hope so. Yeah.
That's his nickname.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Paul Craig, he has a win over Magnomed Ankalaev, which is, I find that to be an impressive win.
Yeah.
He also has losses to Jimmy Crute and Alonzo Merrifield. He has won his last two via submission. He's kind of up and coming. He's been there. Sometimes he's not. He's not a contender by any means yet, but he's on his way up, and he's getting a good test with Mauricio, who his most recent big win is Corey Anderson.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, and then he's lost to so many legends, people like John Jones, Chael. He's got lost to OSP.
Yep, I think he has lost to Lyoto Machida, maybe.
Yeah, yep. You're right. But I think once again, scratch everything. This fight is happening for. This is a second.
Oh,
it was a split draw the last time.
All right. How recent was
that? That was 2 years. I totally blanked on that. That's sort of been what I led with. That this is a rematch.
Yep.
All that stuff is important that I said, but also this is a rematch, split decision draw. What is interesting though to me is that happened 2 years ago. And you got a guy who was a little bit older with Mauricio, and 2 more years he didn't get better. If they were both right here,
Shogun did not get better.
No. If they were even at that time, they are most likely no longer even, unfortunately. And that is why I think Paul Craig will get a win here.
That's fair. A fair assessment of this fight.
Neither of them has really fought anyone or given me anything else that would make me believe anything different from that.
Yeah.
Also, Craig has 2 wins since that time, which is helpful too. Co-main event, the biggest odds on this entire card. We have Valentina Shevchenko fighting Jennifer Maia. Valentina is the champ. She is 19-3. She's got wins against Chookagian, Jessica Ai, Holly Holm, Joanna. I mean, her only real losses, she's lost twice to Amanda Nunes, and the last one was a split decision loss.
Yeah.
She is tough as they come.
Yes.
Now, Jennifer Maia is proven. She's beat Joanne Calderwood. We talked about her loss to Chikagian. She's 18-6, but Jennifer Maia is a plus 750 underdog, and I think
she should be.
Yes. You should bet this fight because there's no reason to. But Shevchenko is minus 1,400 favorite, and she is going to demolish Jennifer Maia.
And I even found, so sometimes with fights that have ridiculous odds, right? I like to look at like multiple, I don't even know what to call them.
Betting sites.
And I found one betting site to have Valentina Shevchenko as a minus 1667 favorite, which documents as the highest, the biggest favorite I've ever seen in a fight.
So if you wanted to go make $100 on this fight, you would have to bet $1,675 on Valentina.
Yeah.
And you would win $100.
Which you probably would. But
yeah. But there's no reason to risk that much money because there's always the puncher's chance that we're going to get a flash knockout.
And Jennifer Maia is a submission specialist. So, I mean,
or
anybody could fall into a weird armbar or, you know.
But it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
No. I don't know. If you just feel like you want to risk money for no reason and you'll probably win with 99% certainty, I guess go for it. But this is a stupid fight. I don't know who Valentina should fight. I know that they're contracted and they're obligated to give her so many fights a year, and this is probably what worked out to get her this fight. Yeah. But it's not going to be competitive.
Mm-hmm. I'm just figuring out how Shevchenko is going to knock her out with a kick to the head in the first round. Like which kick she's going to use.
Right.
It would be cool to see.
I hope that's what happens. I really don't want to have to watch 25 minutes of Valentina thrashing Jennifer Maia just to win 50-42 on the cards.
Yeah.
Or maybe 50-38. I'm throwing in some real low ones.
Use all the numbers.
That won't make sense because that was from the other video. Hopefully you watched the YouTube video on the numbers.
Yeah.
All right, main event. Davison Figueiredo versus Alex Perez. Figueiredo is 19-1. He's a minus 325 favorite. He's got 2 wins over Joseph Benavidez, which I believe they're both first round finishes.
Second round in the second fight.
You're right.
I believe that that Benavidez won the first round in the second fight, but then got iconically submitted with his eyes crossed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's got a win over Tim Elliott, but besides that, he came up fast, and he rightfully so. He looks like an absolute monster in this division.
And I'll say this from being a 125-pounder in college for 4 years as a wrestler. He is huge.
He's much bigger than you.
He is much bigger than I am, and I pride myself in being a pretty big 125-pounder in college. I bet he walks around at 165 pounds. Like, and I'm not.
I was gonna say he legitimately is probably normally weighs closer to what I weigh than what you weigh.
Yes, no doubt.
And I weigh 165 pounds right now.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how long, because he missed weight the first time against Benavidez. That's why that fight happened again.
Yeah. I
don't know how long he can do that to his body, but if he can keep doing it, he's going to be tough to beat for anyone.
Yeah.
Alex Perez, on the other hand, Alex Perez is a stud. He's 24-5, plus 250 underdog coming in here. He has decent wins. He also has a loss to Joseph Benavidez. Now it's back in 2018. He hasn't fought a ton since then. Things can change. That's 2 years he's had to get better. I do think he is outmatched here, and pretty significantly so.
Yeah, and I will say that I am stealing this straight from the promotion from this fight from last week's card. But Alex Perez is the first Dana White Contender Series alum to be challenging for UFC Gold. Fun fact.
That is. I can't believe. Has the Contender Series not been going on that long?
I think Sean O'Malley was from maybe the first season, and Sean O'Malley has been around for probably 3 years.
Yeah, and he had a year suspension in there.
And maybe Perez isn't the first to fight for gold. He would be the first to get UFC gold. Maybe there has been a challenger before, but nothing comes to mind per se.
No,
because because Sean O'Malley has been the pride and joy of the Contender Series, and he has not challenged, obviously. So
Correct.
this may be the first challenger from the Contender Series.
We will find a way to get Sean O'Malley in every episode.
Yep, every single episode.
So let's just do a quick recap of what I think. I think we're both pretty much aligned with all but one for picks. I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to win. I'm not so sure. I'd bet on knockout. I think Koski Lewis, I think he's going to win with first round knockout. Very confident with that one. Jordan Wright, I think he could beat Buckley. I think Royval is going to win a battle. I don't know about the Dawkins fight. That's up in there. That's going to be a close one with a lot of grappling. I think someone gets submitted at some point there. I think Perry thrashes Tim Means. You think Chikagian wins. I think Calvillo wins.
Yep.
I think Paul Craig wins. And Shevchenko and Figueiredo destroy their opponents and keep their belts.
I think we're on the same page there. Outside of the one women's flyweight bout.
But to be honest, this card is interesting from top to bottom. You don't have a Khabib type championship fight, or even even an Usman or something like. I mean, you don't have the really exciting championship for the belt that could go either way that you're excited about. But these fights are all interesting, and I'm excited to watch all of them.
And they are meaningful. They're meaningful fights in many divisions.
Yep. This will clear up a lot of things. A lot of people's, well, not a lot of people. People who fight are going to change the course of their career on this night.
I agree.
But for that reason, I'm excited and I'll watch it.
Absolutely. So this was our preview for UFC 255. Like always, drop a like, leave a comment. We'd like to interact with you guys. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel or our podcasting service, please do that. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We out.